With 2021 now behind us, I wanted to put something together on how I felt the year went across the various codes and also to set some targets for 2022. Overall, it was an excellent year, with each team having some kind of positive across the year, although unfortunately there were a couple of setbacks too. The best place to start is with our All Ireland winning Camogues. Obviously, in terms of winning an All Ireland, you can't do a lot more than that, so they're definitely worthy of an A. From a personal viewpoint, I'd say it was my sporting highlight of the year. I promised my daughter if Antrim got to the final, we'd go to Croke Park to watch it after she'd taken the game up a few months earlier. The final performance was outstanding, and it was brilliant to see an Antrim team go to Croke Park and play so well on the big occasion. The only thing missing in stopping the Camogues getting an A star would be following the old rivals Down in the Ulster and League finals. Down beat Antrim in the All Ireland final last year, and despite a league win, when silverware was up for grabs, Down came out on top again. The Ulster final loss probably wasn't as vital, as Antrim will always be competitive there, but the Division 2 loss was more impactful. It means another year at that level as Antrim look to push forward, and I'm sure they would have liked to get some top level games under their belt before embarking on a senior championship campaign next year. In terms of targets for 2022, promotion in the league will be the first aim. We've just missed out on that this year, and hopefully history can repeat itself with Antrim bouncing back from a final defeat to Down to win the title in the following season. At championship level, it's all about maintaining senior status. I'd love to say go and do what the Meath footballers did by winning intermediate and then senior, but realistically the aim has to be to not take a step backwards. The change in management was always going to have an impact, but I'm pleased to hear Elaine Dowds will be in charge. As she was there last year, it should lead to continuity, and she'll be well placed to know what worked last year, but she'll have her own ideas on what didn't and what can be improved on. Antrim have some real quality already in the senior team, and they've done really well at minor level. So if they can bring a few of those up to the senior team, I believe they can consolidate their place in the senior championship and hopefully continue to move forward in the coming years. On to the hurlers, and it was always going to be difficult to follow up on an A-star 2020 when they went unbeaten and getting promoted to Division 1 and also won the Joe McDonagh Cup. If I was grading the league campaign alone and considering where Antrim have been over the last decade, you'd be looking at an A. The win over Clare was special, and the draw with Wexford was an excellent game. They gave Kilkenny a decent game too, so things were looking great, but then came the Liam McCarthy Cup. Defeat to Dublin put Antrim into the relegation playoff, and despite beating them in the league, the Saffrons failed the leash and went straight back into the Joe McDonagh Cup. That was a massive disappointment, but I'm still going to give the season a B grade, as I've a bit of a bone to pick with the GAA and the circumstance that led to the relegation. People are quick to criticise the format in the Gaelic Football Championship, but for me the fact the team can gain a hard-earned promotion and then be relegated after 2 games is a far bigger disservice to Gaels than a football team getting beat by 20 points by one of the big counties. This bouncing up and down does nobody any favours, and particularly in this COVID impacted season, I think more grace should have been given, as in normal circumstances you'll get at least 4 or 5 games in the Leinster Championship. It's not just Antrim affected though, as the very structures are difficult for certain counties, and you only have to look at the hoops Kerry would have to jump through to go up should they ever win the Joe McDonagh Cup, with automatic promotion not even guaranteed for them. In terms of targets, I think avoiding relegation in the league has to be one. We have a difficult draw with Tipperary, Waterford, Dublin, Kilkenny and Laois in our section. You're probably looking at trying to beat Laois, and anything else is a bonus, but if we want to be at this level we need to earn it, and hopefully the lads can do that. Keeping Darren Gleeson on board was good news for Antrim. I genuinely feared that after all the hard work of getting to Liam McCarthy and then falling back, he might have moved on, but I'm delighted to see he'll remain. In the Championship, I think this Joe McDonagh Cup will be tough to win. I feel awfully I've made a lot of strides forward in the last year after falling from grace, and feel they'll be tough to beat. That said, I think Antrim should be looking at making the final of the Joe McDonagh, and then hopefully they'll be able to get across the line. In men's football, Antrim had a very good league campaign. They started off down in Division 4, and with the league split into 2, they were drawn against Louth, Sligo and Leitrim. Remarkably, they won 3 from 3 in the group stages, all by the minimum margin, meaning they finished in 3 wins and a points difference of +3. That meant a one-off match against the runners-up from the southern group, which turned out to be Waterford. The Saffrons weren't going to be denied and won by 7 points down in Waterford to secure Division 3 football for 2022. That campaign was undoubtedly worth an A, or maybe even an A-star, but unfortunately the Championship was a short affair, as they took on Armagh and were defeated 4-15 to 14 points. Due to the coronavirus, there was no backdoor or Tilsham Cup, so that was the end of the season for the footballers. Obviously losing straight away was disappointing, but realistically Armagh managed to survive in Division 1, so it was always going to be a difficult task, so for that reason I think Antrim's year is still worth an A-. In 2022, Antrim will be in Division 3 of the National League, and looking at the list of teams, there isn't a massive favourite in the way Derry or Cork have been in recent years at that level, so I think Antrim should be optimistic about their chances, and I definitely think staying up is very achievable. How high can they push on after that? Well, they could get promoted if there's another improvement, but I think somewhere around mid-table should be a definite, and if they can grab a good start, then there might be a chance to push into those top places. With regards to Championship, Antrim will take on Cavan in the Ulster Championship. Are we favourites to win that? Cavan are Division 4 and we're in Division 3, but Cavan have a great record in the Ulster Championship. They reached the final in 2019 and won it in 2020, so I expect they'll be regarded as favourites, but there are definitely worse draws that we could have had. If we were to beat Cavan, it would mean a semi-final with Armagh or Donegal, and realistically I don't think we would beat either of them at the minute. So if we're going to continue in the Sam Maguire after the Ulster Championship, we would have to finish in the top 2 of the league and gain promotion to Division 2. Again, it's a big ask to go back with promotions like we did under Liam Bradley in 2010, so it's likely we'll enter the Tilsham Cup. With it being a new competition and the lineup not fully known yet, I think the main target for the Championship campaign is to ensure that we get at the very least one win, and hopefully a few wins to reward all the hard work being done by Andy McGinley and his team. Last but definitely not least, we have the ladies footballers. In the league, the Antrim ladies finished 3rd in Division 4A. They started with losses to Leitrim and Louth, but defeated Derry in their last match. They then entered the Junior Championship with a good chance of progressing, as there were only 5 teams in the competition, with the top 4 in the round robin reaching the semi-finals. A defeat to Derry wasn't an ideal start, but the Saffrons bounced back with wins over Carlow and Limerick. Despite losing to Wicklow in their final match, the 2 wins and a good points difference was good enough for second in the group. That meant a semi-final against Carlow, which in the end turned out to be one of the games of the year. The game went back and forth, but in the end the Saffrons came out on top thanks to inspired performances from Grania McLaughlin and substitute Michelle McGee. That set up a meeting with Wicklow in the final, but unfortunately Antrim fell short as Wicklow won a well-deserved title, having won every match through the groups and the knockouts. The league campaign wasn't great, but reaching an All-Ireland final was a great achievement for the ladies. Obviously, losing in the final was disappointing, but the team is still a work in progress, and getting to a final in Croke Park was probably more than what was expected in 2021. Add in the fact that they won an Ulster Junior title, and I'd grade the campaign as an A-. In 2022, the main thing for this Antrim team will be progress. That might not mean promotion or another All-Ireland final, but in the build-up to the final a lot was made of the fact that Emma Kelly felt they were ahead of schedule with their long-term plan, and it would be great to see improvement on the pitch. If someone comes along like Wicklow did this year and beats Antrim, then there's not much you can do about that. But if the team can keep going the right way, then within the next few years there's a great chance that Antrim can pick up an All-Ireland Junior Championship and push their way out of Division 4. Overall, 2021 was a very good year for the county, but there's definitely room for improvement. There's a lot of talented players in all codes across the county, and there are a lot of young people playing Gaelic games. As a county, we haven't always been at the top table, but there are some good foundations in place with the Gaelfest project and the building of the facilities in Dunsilly. So hopefully this year and in the years to come, there are going to be many more successes for followers of Gaelic games in Antrim.